Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the Maker's Cave. And today we're going to be going over some sound for your props. You may recognize my friend here. She made an appearance before when I showed you how to improve her sound. And we did that by making some connections in her speaker. Remember, we disconnected her speaker wire here going to her internal speaker. We were able to put a jack in there so you could put some amplified speakers in there, like computer speakers or an external amplifier, anything you really want. Well, I got a lot of questions from people saying, sure, I can put computer speakers outside, but what if the weather gets a little wet, like a little rainy or whatever? Is there something I can keep out there permanently? And I wanted to today show you how you can make an external speaker that's weatherproof, not necessarily waterproof. I mean, if you get a typhoon, it's not going to help you, but some normal standard rain. I'm going to show you how using a dollar store Tupperware bin, little amplifier card, and a certain type of speaker, how you can make yourself a weatherproof speaker for outside. Trying to think of anything I missed. Nope, I guess we'll dive into it. Let me show you the parts. Other than the dollar store Tupperware bowl, these are all the components you're really going to need. Here is the amplifier board. This is a speaker cable that came with the speaker. We don't need that. Here's an audio jack screw terminal. There's a Dupont connector, but you can use any wires for that. And here is a USB power cable that we're going to use to power the board. And this is actually a gasket to seal the speaker. So before we go into explaining the heart of this project, which is this little inexpensive but powerful amplifier board, I want to talk about the speaker. So these are the speakers we're going to be using. They are rated for marine use. They say on here waterproof, but I always like to err on the side of caution, just say they're weatherproof. What's big about these, this is what you put in your boat or your Sea-Doo or something like that. And the speaker is like a sealed unit. You can't take this cover off. The cone is made of a waterproof or weather-resistant material. And this gasket, which you saw earlier, goes over top of this and then goes in the hole, and it creates a fairly watertight, I guess, enclosure what we're going to be putting in there. So that's how we're going to be doing with Tupperware. Just going to be real simple. Put this in here, and that's going to give you a good outside speaker that's going to be resistant to some weather. Now, next, let's go over this board. So here is our small but powerful audio board. It's 3 watts. It's powered by, it's a 3-watt amplifier. It's powered by 5 volts, so you can easily power this off of a USB power brick like you'd use for charging your phone. We'll be using our USB power cable to hook up to these pins right here. Over here is the knob for the volume. These pins are, this is the positive, this is the positive 5 volts, this is the ground. Up here is your audio in, the center is the ground. This is your right channel. This is your right channel in. This is your left channel in. And then we come down here, and this is your output. This is the right channel negative, and this is the right channel positive going out. And this is your positive left channel going out, and your negative left channel going out, or ground. Now, some of you guys who are familiar with some of this may be hooking this up, like this obviously is stereo, but we're only going to one speaker. So some people may be tempted to take the negatives, okay, and tie them together. You do not want to do that with this board, because that'll tax the amplifier and could possibly short it out. So if you're only going to be using one side, then if you're only putting sound in on the left channel, then just hook your speaker up to the left channel. If you're only putting it on the right channel, only hook your output up to the right. Do not tie these two together. If you do need to merge your left and right sound together, what I would suggest you do is you do that over here by taking your sound channel and putting it to both the right and left channels, and then just you could use, at that point you could use either this channel, these 2 pins here, or these 2 pins here for the speaker. Okay, but like I said before, very important, do not tie this pin and this pin together thinking they're ground and you can just tie them together. You will burn this board out. The other piece we're going to be using is, you've seen me use this before, is a screw turtle breakout plug for left, right, and ground stereo systems or audio. We're going to be using a little Dupont wire right here, and that's going to slide onto here. Because that's your sound coming in. And then these wires will go into this terminal here. And what we'll do is, because we only have mono sound coming out, what I'll do is I will just simply take a wire and I'm going to bridge the right to the left, so we have the same sound going in on both channels. It's the same sound will be going into both channels here, and then we can just hook the speaker up to either one of these two pins, either these set right here or this set here. This is the speaker we're going to be using. Like I said, they came in a pair. They were fairly inexpensive. I think they were like $15 for both of them. I got these off of Amazon. I'll put a link below. And as you can see, it's a completely sealed unit. And it's kind of hard for you to tell in there, but the cone for the speaker is made of a certain material that can withstand the weather. And then it comes with this gasket right here that goes over top. So when you press this down, it completes a nice tight seal. But we're actually going to be we're going to put some you can do two things. You can either put some hot glue around the edge here where it goes into the plastic lid, or you can use some silicone caulking. I would suggest using silicone caulking, but today I don't have any here in the shop right now, which is unusual. So we can also, in a pinch, use hot glue. The reason why I like to use the silicone is, if you notice when you go into your big box store like Home Depot, Lowe's, the sealant silicone that they use is, you want the flexible kind. So that way, if you flex the lid or whatever, it won't break the seal on the caulk. Whereas with the hot glue onto the plastic, it may, it may flex, and the whole actual plastic ring of the hot glue may actually come up. So we'll use hot glue today to simulate the use of silicone. And a close-up of the other thing we're going to be using is our simple USB power adapter. It has a USB at one end, and it's got DuPont connectors on the other end. So you can easily plug that right into the power board. And again, I'll put a link to everything below. And this is just your standard dollar store Tupperware bowl. You want one that's going to be big enough for your speaker. That's why I got this size, because it was just perfect, to house this speaker. We'll start off with was probably the hardest thing first, and that's we're going to put the speaker into this lid. Now, as I showed you before, there's this gasket, so basically the hole has to be this size right here, and we're going to use that gasket as a marker for where we have to cut. So what we'll do is, this gasket has a peel away adhesive backing. That is how it's going to sit. So what we can do is take a Sharpie. We'll take the Sharpie, and we're going to take some painter's tape. And what I'm going to do is, I just want to fix the gasket here so it doesn't move. Now we'll just take our Sharpie and go right around. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to make sure that the mark is on the lid. Take the gasket off. So now we have a hole right here. There are many different ways to cut this hole with any kind of knife. Just be careful. I think I am going to be using one of our utility knives to do that. You want to keep your hand in front of the knife, not behind, for obvious reasons. Now, sometimes it might be easier to make one cut and then go back over again. I find when you're doing something like this, just doing small sections at a time, rather than trying to make a real big run. Not the prettiest cutting job, but it'll work. Now let's bring our speaker back, flip this lid over and see how we did. Oh, that can't be any better. So let's bring our back here, and let's bring our gasket back. There's a raised lip that goes around, okay, and that could keep this from getting a good tight seal. That's why I want to use the silicone when we're all done, but this is a good start. So as you can see, this is how it'll go. Now let's go back. We'll get our little tub right here. Put the lid on. And I can feel that actually rubbing against the gasket underneath, so that's good. So once we put our silicone around here, that'll be real nice. So as you can see right away, you can see how we're starting off to make a nice little container there for the speaker. Now, if you notice, there is a lot of dead space between, here and the bottom. If you can find something that's not as deep for your speaker, you can. But this is the best I could find that had the right diameter I needed for the speaker, so it was a little deep, but that's okay. This can house all our different stuff. Now, let's bring back the amplifier board. It does come with a nut, so you can make a hole in the side here, okay, and put this through, and so you have a little volume knob out here. Now, once again, once you start doing something like that, you're introducing a way for water to get in there. So when I build these kind of speakers, I just make sure everything is all contained on the inside, and the only thing that's accessible from the outside is the power cable for it and the input for the sound. And the reason I like that is we'll make little holes here, and then again we'll take silicone and put these around the holes that these wires come through, making this again as close to waterproof as we can. So I think the next thing we're going to be doing is that. Let's make those two little holes right in here for the wires and the power supply. Now when you're making your holes for the power supply and the audio, you want the hole to be as small as possible for the wires to go through. That's why I haven't put any ends on these yet. So my hole doesn't have to be that big for the wires to go through. Again, same for this, it only has to be big enough so these couple little Dupont connectors go through. And for that, what I'm going to be using is my X-Acto knife right here. And what I'm going to be using for that is my X-Acto knife. And I'm just, because it's thin plastic, and these bowls, I don't know why, but for some reason right on here there's a flat surface. Everything's curved, and then there's a little flat surface right here. So that's perfect to put our stuff in. So I'm just going to poke, and you want to twirl. You're going to use it almost like a drill, and you're just going to twirl that around. If you wanted to, you could use a drill, but sometimes the drill will tear up the plastic. I'm going to put our little wires through here. You may have to make that a little bit bigger. Sometimes you actually have to go onto the inside and do that little bit of drilling thing too. There you go. So bring that, and that'll be our volume control sitting right in there. And of course that's where our plug will go. So that'll be the only thing. And you may be going, Steve, you're talking about exposed elements, but you're going to have all these terminals exposed when you put this on here. Just put some electrical tape or some duct tape, probably some Gorilla tape around there would work. That'll waterproof that right up. But the reason I'd use this is so it's easy to connect and swap out if you want to use a different type of connector. So that's the one hole for this wire here. Now we have to make one for our power connector. So I'll go over here and I'll do the exact same thing. Go in from the other side again. See, and that's going in like that, it takes all that debris that you made from going onto one side. You can just take that right off. So I've made my 2 holes, and it actually looks like the hole I originally made for the audio in is going to be better suited to this. So let's feed the connector through. What we'll do is we'll put one end in first, and we'll put the negative in. Feed that through. There you go. I went right in there. So now we have power that we can put to the board. And of course, now we'll take this and feed it through this way. So this is what we have so far. We have the power coming in. We have the audio coming in. That would be coming from, our demo, it'll be our witch. The output from this going to the speaker, we don't have to make any holes for that because it's going to go, right up to the speaker. It's going to be right up in here. So at this point, all we really have to do is connect this. Make sure you're going to positive. And now we'll take our little connector here and we'll splice this into here so it can go to the plug on the witch. Now our witch is just a single mono sound, which means there's only one side. Now, I don't have to worry about crossing these 2 left and rights together to get sound on both channels because I've taken care of that in the output of the witch's connection. The left and the right are already joined together, so it's going to feed both of these, so I'm good to go. Now, what I'm going to do to make this easier to put these into here, you could put these right in here and screw them down and they would hold, but I actually have some terminal lugs right here. These are handy little things. If you're going to be doing any kind of prop building, I would suggest that you get these. And they're really cool. This set comes with some crimpers. You just slide the bare end into here and you squeeze. And now there's a nice little lug right here that you can easily put into the screw terminal. Do these for the rest of them. Now I find these are a little long to be putting into here, so I just take a little bit off of each one. Just use your wire cutters for that. Now the middle connector, the purple, is the ground. As you can see with those terminal lugs, that makes a real nice secure connection. Now the gray wire here is your right audio channel, and these are labeled L and R. So we'll put this into the right. And again, I'll put a link to where you can get one of these screw terminals, these audio breakout plugs. And we only have one left, which is the left channel. Now you're probably thinking, come on, Steve, what am I going to do, put this right underneath the prop? I mean, look how small this connection is. Yeah, you're right, okay, because I'm a firm believer that, this is the best way to do it here. You could get a longer one if you wanted, but to use these parts, just run out or on Amazon or somewhere and get yourself a stereo, 1/8 stereo cable extender. You can get them at 3 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot lengths. You can get whatever you want. I have one here on the back of her, and that's the one we're going to be using for connecting into here. So pretty simple so far. We're, a couple minutes and already we have the audio for the DAW, or for the witch rather, and we have the power. The next thing we're going to want to do is just take 2 of these pins in here. I'll probably take the right channel and we'll wire them up to the connector right here. Now I'm lucky enough here in the cave that I've got Dupont wires of all types laying around. So this is actually like a 2-wire Dupont. So what we'll do is keep one of these for the end to slide onto the board here. And what we'll do is we'll just cut off one end here. Now we just have to take these two ends we just nipped off here and put these on the speaker. For attaching these to the speakers, you can strip off some and you could put them through the holes in here. The little lugs on the speakers have holes, and twist them. Not the best. You could solder them on, or you can use some terminal connectors that I have right here. These aren't like your standard ones. These are very small, and they're made for things like speakers. As you can see, they fit right on there. These are like 3mm terminal. I would suggest you get some of these and keep them in your little tool kit for prop making. Again, link below. So we'll just strip some wire out here. Now I could have just as easily soldered these on like I said before, but if I ever want to replace the speaker real quick, especially out in the field, out in your yard or whatever, it's a lot easier just pulling some Spade connectors than it is desoldering something. There you go, that's all it took. Now we take this other end, bring back our little bowl of audio, and I'll put this on the right side. Here's what it looks like all set up. You've got your audio in, you've got your power, and then you've got your audio out. And since, like I said, we only using one speaker, we only need to use this one side. Now, if you wanted to use another set of speakers, you could do this whole thing without the internals here, and you could just use another Tupperware bowl with a speaker in it, and you could run this one, the connector from this one, over to that other speaker Tupperware bowl, and you'd have stereo sound if you wanted to. Or if it's still mono sound, you would be able to fill in a bigger area of sound, but you'll be surprised what a difference this makes. Now I'm just going to pre-adjust this so it's about in the middle. Okay. Now, does anybody know what I did wrong? Show of hands. I was so anxious to show you guys that I forgot to put the terminals through the Tupperware bowl. Wouldn't be one of my bills without a silly mistake. Okay, so now we're going to hook this back up again. There we go. Now, if you want to be super secure about this, there are some screw holes around here, and they do come with screws, but they're made over in the package, but they're made for going into something solid like a hole in a piece of wood or bulkhead. That's why, again, I think the silicone does the same. Well, it will do the same thing. The silicone is an adhesive, so it'll hold this in here and waterproof it. Same thing for this. We will simply put some silicone around here. I can't believe I don't have any silicone here in the cave.
A few moments later.
After some searching, I did find some clear grip Gorilla Glue. It's 100% waterproof, permanent bond, holds in just seconds. So let's go and put on some gloves. These came out of my home proctology kit. Here's the glue. And we're just going to Put some right around here. This is why we have the glove. Basically, it's like caulking. You just want to make a little bead in there. Now we'll do the same thing with these wires down here. This is not my first choice, but this is what I had in here. Like I said, right after your big box store, get yourself some silicone flexible caulking. So that's what it's kind of hard to see, but there's all right around in here that'll help hold the wires, and it'll help protect and seal it. And all around the edge of the speaker, we have that in there that'll help hold it and seal it. And it's drying already. So at this point, this project's done. As far as the assembly goes, here is the power. Now I am going to open this up because I just want to make sure I did put the negative to negative and the positive to positive. Yes, I did. Don't want to let the smoke out. So I'm going to, this is simple USB. I got a USB right over here. Oh, you know what? I think I have one on the front of my thing right here. Hold on. Almost a year in this cave and I'm still getting used to everything. Okay, I don't know if you heard it or not. You did hear this click on. Now, first thing we're going to do is I'm going to activate the good old witch over here so you can hear what it sounds like normally. Not the best prop, but it's perfect for testing things out like this. So now we're going to take our connector in the back here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is for an auxiliary. Plug it into here. Like I said, it's a real long extension. This has got to be about probably a 15-footer. And now we're going to put all right, we're going to put this on here. And then we're getting a little bit of feedback out of here, and I think that's because we've got it turned up really loud. Okay, so okay, so here she goes, and we're going to activate her again. Let's see what it sounds like now. Obviously louder. We don't even need it that loud because that was really loud. I mean, I'll give you a jump scare for your prop. So I'm actually going to turn this down. And that's only a 3-watt amplifier. You don't need a lot of wattage to get your good scare sounds out. Okay, so I turned this down. And now that I turned it down, you'll notice that there's no feedback hum. So that's literally how high we had it for. And it was only up a notch. Now let's do it again. Now, if you go back and listen to the stock versus this, you notice it's a richer sound because it's in this container. It's actually producing some bass sound. The other thing is it's hard for me for you to hear this through the video, but there's a lot of background noises that actually go on with that sound that she has, with wind blowing and things like that. It's easier to pick those sounds out through this real good quality speaker. So here you go. You've got a waterproof speaker. You've got the amp is like, I think it's $5. Like I said, I'll put the link below, some cables, whatever. And you've got a nice outdoor waterproof speaker. I mean, heck, that's really good. Let's do it again. All right, there you go. Another sound project. This is real good. You know, a lot of the boards we sound already have 3-watt and 5-watt amplifiers built in, but this is real good for, like I said, you know, like I said before, if you take just a normal, everyday run-of-the-mill Lowe's, Home Depot, Spirit Halloween prop, the first thing you want to do, I'm telling you, to get better performance out of it is go in there, you know, watch my other video where you can go in there and you can disconnect that internal speaker and you can switch between either the internal speaker or using some outside speakers. You could even literally just go from that speaker right to here. You wouldn't have the amplification, but I bet you, well, actually I know, the sound going to a regular speaker will be better than that little tiny internal speaker that they have. So that's it for this Halloween project, or holiday project, whatever you want to make loud. I hope this helped. If I went over something or I stumbled over something and you didn't understand it, please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. I'm getting a lot of comments, especially the closer we get to Halloween. I'm getting a lot more questions. So if it takes me a couple days to get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to balance my time. But I do want to get back to all of you with answers for your questions. So like I said, I hope this helped you. I hope it gave you some ideas. We've got some other things going, and for the second year running, we still have our doggone sinister dial back there, which I want to put some servos in, show you guys how to do some simple servo work with an Arduino and a server to make the head move and all. And we're going to put it behind a case, so it'll be kind of like an Annabelle kind of thing. So that's it for me and my friend here. Thanks for stopping by the Maker's Cave, and I'll see you at the next build or whatever we're doing.